So, you want to make 3D printed fishing lures? Well, this is the video you guys have been asking me to do, so today I am going to show you how I duplicate lures in CAD for 3D printing. I know there's a few other design videos on YouTube already, but most of those are done in Fusion's 360 scope environment, and I'm going to show you how to do it in just basic CAD because that's how I've been doing it before Fusion was even available. So in today's video, we are going to be using this 2.5-inch square bill crankbait. This is what I'm going to duplicate. If you're just getting into 3D printed lures, starting with a known design like this is a perfect way to go because you don't have to worry about lip angle or design or how big or how small. It's a proven design. You know it should work when you're done. Also, if you're just starting out, it doesn't hurt to have an unpainted blank because you can see how much weight is in there, how it's distributed. You'll notice on this one, the rattle stops in the middle, but it goes only to one side. It doesn't go all the way across, which I don't know the theory on that. I'm not an expert in lure design. I just kind of fake it as I go. For the purpose of this tutorial, I'm going to be using this painted blank though because you can actually see the detail better when it's painted. But for now, next thing we got to do is take some pictures of our lure. Okay, when you're taking pictures of your lures, I actually draw a square grid out first with a center line, and the lure is going to be laid on there. This will help you keep everything straight when you're actually taking the picture. You want to make sure your lure is going to sit like level when you lay it down to take the picture. So what I do is I take a little piece of clay. If you don't have clay, you could actually use like a piece of squished up bread or something. So what I do is just lay it down on there and push him down flat till he's level. Then we'll be able to move him around because you want basically the tip and the center to be on that center line. This will just help you when you're importing this picture into your CAD program later. I'm going to be using my iPhone to take the pictures of the lure, and it has this little plus feature in there that tells me when it's level, so I just line that up until it's orange. It also use the grid to align with the grid on the paper, and once I'm in the right spot, I just take the picture. I'm actually going to use the phone's built-in editing program too to change the lighting of the picture, just so there's no shadows around the outside. This will make it easier to trace the outline when I bring it into CAD, and the highlights just brightens up the image a little bit. The picture for the top view is done the same way, but you just want to really make sure that center line is right down the center of the lure. Okay, now that you got your pictures taken of the lure you want to duplicate, you are going to start your CAD program. I am using SolidWorks, but you can use Fusion 360, Onshape, any of those type of CAD programs. They all work the same, just the workflow is a little different. I got to preface this by saying I'm not very proficient in CAD. I probably do not do things the right way. I kind of just do them how I've figured things out over the years, so keep that in mind when watching this video. With that, we're going to start design. I always work off the front plane because that's what relates to my 3D printer bed. And the first thing I'm going to do is draw a line. I measured my lure with a pair of calipers, so I know it's 2.372 inches long. So first I'm going to start with that line. Next thing I'm going to import my pictures. In SolidWorks, it's under Sketch Tools and Sketch Picture. I am going to import the side view first. SolidWorks has this nice little feature here that scales it for you, so I guess you just put this at the end. Like that, and insert your dimension, 2.372. It's going to scale the picture for me. Now I am going to just drop the picture. I'm lining the nose up with what will be the right plane. And using my centerline reference that on that picture I took, it's actually a little low, so I'm going to drop it down where I think it goes. I'm going to center it on the mark. Do that. Next I'm going to go to the top plane, start a new sketch. sketch, and I am going to insert my top view. Sketch tools, sketch picture, top view. You can just scale it by dragging these two in most programs. Again, I'm going to line up my center line with the lure. Alright, there we go. Next we're going to do is, I'm going to rename these just so I know what I'm working with, because I will be coming back to these a lot. Next thing we're going to do is go back to your front plane, start another sketch, and using the spline tool we are going to trace this out. I'm starting from this line. Actually, get a vertical line here first. Now using the spline tool, we are just going to trace this picture as close as we can. You kind of just got to guess where the edge will be because of, you get a little fuzziness in the picture, especially depending on how you scaled the picture down. I think I made the picture about 1,000 pixels wide, so it wasn't too big. When you get to the front, same thing, you're just gonna get it close enough. Use another vertical line, drop down. It's a little sketchy in here, but this is just going to be for reference anyway, so. But you still want it close as you can get it. Okay, now that you get that, you are going to go to your top plane, start a new sketch, and we're basically going to do the same thing for the top view. Adjust any of these that are off a little bit. Alright, for this one though, I'm going to draw a center line. Just going to trim out this. For this one, we're actually going to go just draw a little box around the top like this. Was not straight for some reason. Straighten that out. Okay, we're going to close that sketch. Now I'm going to turn these pictures off for now. I'm just going to hide them. And we're going to take the side sketch and we are going to extrude this. It's going to do 1.5 inches, but we're We're going to do it a mid-plane. Actually, you know what I forgot to do? I'll go back to the sketch for a second, edit the sketch. I need to mirror these. That's why I drew that center line. Alright, now we got your basic side profile. We are going to use that top sketch and we're going to extrude cut that. Again, we're going to do a mid-plane. Make sure it cuts everything out. And there you go. That's your basic reference shape so far. Next, we're going to continue by making a bunch of planes. We're going to start with the right plane, which is off the nose of the lure. And we're going to go to Features. We're going to offset the first plane. I am going to do a 1/4 inch. And we're going to make another plane. Another 1/4 inch. The more curve you have, the more planes you want, so you'll see why in a couple of minutes. But for these, I'm just going to continue to use 375. Last one, just want to make sure it's going to end on the end, so shrink this up a little bit. Close enough. Alright, now that we got the planes made, we're going to start a couple more sketches here. Again, we're going to start on the nose, which is just the right plane. So. And all you're going to do is take the ellipse tool. You want to make sure it's going to be in the center. And I'm just coming out to the edge. I don't want it locking on that yet though. If you're making a lure, if you're duplicating a lure to make a stencil for it, like a factory lure, you might have to use something besides an ellipse. You might have to use the spline tool because the shape of the body might be different. I also want to make sure these are horizontal to each other. Now what I'm going to do is just, actually I'm going to make sure this point stays in the center with a vertical relation. I'm just going to put it in the center. Zoom in a little bit so it doesn't, I don't want to lock it on anything. Now we're just going to change the dimension. Come on. Now, once you get the first one done, you're going to actually go to your next plane, but you're going to turn on section view. Then start a sketch on that plane. And again, using the ellipse tool, make sure it's in the center. Just get it as close to the edge as you can, and the top and bottom. Just kind of eyeball it for now. I'm going to add some relations. Make sure that's vertical. Make sure the side points are horizontal. And we're just going to center this up. Good job with that one. That's it. Close that sketch. Turn off the section tool and go to the next plane, which would be plane 2 in this instant. Turn the section tool back on and continue the process. Gotta make sure I'm on plane 2. Start a new sketch. I forgot to do dimensions on that last one. I like to put dimensions in just so it locks in place. I want to make sure these are vertical too, because if it's skewed a bit, it'll mess things up later. Told you I wasn't very proficient in this. Move this down now. Show my dimensions. If you want to be really precise, you can actually measure the lure, but you'd have to figure out how far back from the tail and all that to measure in the right place. So basically, I am just going to continue doing this for all the planes, which I'll probably fast forward through, and then we'll go from there. Alright, once that's done, we can actually hide this now because we no longer need that, and we can turn all these off. And next thing you're going to want to do is a lofted boss. If you're in SolidWorks, you're going to want to make sure you select these little points at the very top so everything stays in line. Go. Now just to double check, you actually can go back up here and turn your side view on, and it's looks pretty close. If you actually hide this, you can kind of see the line still, the yellow line there, and it's pretty close. It's close enough. Do the same thing in the top view. Turn that one back on. It's a little weird at the tip, but that's probably because the picture's skewed a little bit. You can see the area right there, but the close enough. Alright, so turn these off again. You can actually add a fillet to the back of this. Really close. It's pretty close. Got a little one at the front just to clean that up a little too. Probably better ways to round that off with some splines and stuff, but I'm not going to get that detailed into this. So the next step is going to be to make the lip. I'm going to turn back on the side view picture and hide the body. And I'm going to start on the front plane with a new sketch, and I'm going to do a quick center line. That center line, first line for the lip. I know from measuring my lure, this is actually going to be a 40-degree angle. And you can see from the picture it's a little different because, again, pictures get skewed. Just going to adjust this as close as I think it's going to be. Zoom in here. I also know it's about 0.20 from the edge. The front of the lure. I'm just going to do that. I'm going to cheat here, just trim this. And I'm going to make this 0.06. That's straight, that's not straight. Let me add a relation here. Perpendicular, here we go. Okay. You can exit out of the sketch, turn the side view back off, turn the body on, and if you wanted a straight lip, you could just extrude this out using a mid-plane, and it would give you a lip, and then you could actually cut this in the shape of the lip you wanted. But if you wanted to use a clear plexiglass lip, you would just extrude cut it out, again using a mid-plane, and you would have to actually cut this out to the thickness of the plexiglass or acrylic you were going to use, and then you could just glue it in afterward. I am still going to use a printed lip at this point. We're going to be working off this surface, this flat one now, so we're going to do view normal 2, and we're going to start a sketch on there. And I measured my lip, and it's a 0.55 width at that, so I'm going to divide that in half. Actually worked out pretty well. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. This lip is actually concaved in the back, so I took measurements of the actual lure, so I know it comes down 0.13 in the center. And then I'm just going to use a spline and this sticks out a little bit from the end of the lure, so first thing I'm going to do is extrude the boss, but I'm going to go into the body just a little bit so it blends in. And I'm going to come back to this surface, start a new sketch, and I am actually going to use that sketch from before and just convert the entries again. So now I got a fresh sketch. Now from here we are going to start a new plane off that flat surface, and I know my lip is 0.75, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, 0.76. And then we're going to view normal to that plane. Just make it a little bigger, easy to work with. And we're going to start a new sketch on that one. And I know my lip is also 0.75 wide. So 0.75 there to the center, 0.75, 1.2, and this one's actually going to be 0.05 at the front. And I'm going to close that sketch. What I'm going to do now is just do a lofted boss. And I'm going to select those two sketches. Have to move my guides here. And there we go. So now I'm going to do view normal to this again. Start a sketch on there. Again, I'm going to be using a spline. I'm actually just going to come back a bit because I made that a bit longer for that very reason. And I'm going to add a relation between this one and that one just to make sure they're vertical. Just going to double check how far these are. 6/8 looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to box this in and extrude cut it. I can go in, round these off, whatever I think looks good. Alright, then we can come back and round this off. Select those edges. That's not going to show up anyway. Alright, now going back to the top plane, we're going to make it the lip support. Now I know this is about 21 from the front. And it's about 0.18 from there, so just gonna cheat and do that. Trim that off. Actually, this needs to be oh, I see it locked down there. Hate when that does that. Just gonna eyeball that for now. Close that sketch. Then we're going to do extrude boss. It's about 0.09 thick, which I mid-plane it. Just round those off a little bit. Yeah, looks about right. Turn my side view on, it's not even going to be close anymore, but according to my dimensions on the lure, it is. So that's what I'm going with. I just got to go back and fix my fillets here because something happened to them along the way. And I can turn this off. I'm done with that. And now that I'm done with the overall basic design of the lure, I am going to end this video here, but be sure to check out part 2 where I show you how to add basic details, and I'll go over the stencils. So until then, to be continued.